Oh, guys, I love you so much, listeners. That's why I do this. I do this for you, not for me, not for Jason, not for my bank account.
We get no pleasure out of this.
We don't. I don't like Jason. I don't like this stupid thing we've started, but it's a commitment.
I don't like how you keep not capitalizing my name.
What are you talking about?
On our doc. I don't know.
I never write your name, and I always capitalize it. 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome, everybody. Today is March 31st, and we are Never Free to Play, a podcast where we talk about all the video games we wish we were playing. I'm one of your hosts, Karch, joined by my co-host, Jason Wright. If you decide you like us, or maybe even love us, you can find us at neverfreetoplay.com, patreon.com/neverfreetoplay, or on all the other social media where we are Never Free to Play. If you have questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, or feedback, please send it to us at neverfreetoplay@gmail.com, just like one Sean Mybers. All right, Jason, how you doing?
Dude, I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Time has stopped. I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what time it is, but I still feel okay, so.
Yeah, the only reason I remembered to do this is because it was in my calendar, so.
I don't even have a calendar.
I sent you a calendar invite.
You did? Well, I should probably accept it.
Yeah, you should accept it. It's every Tuesday for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. And that's going to be a long time, ladies and gentlemen, because I plan on living forever. What about you? When are you going to die?
I've decided 120 is
120?
as old as I probably want to be.
All right. That's not even close to Methuselah levels. You got to get those levels up, Jason.
How old do you want to be, Karch?
I just said I don't want to die.
Oh. Well,
I'm going to see this through to the end. I'm going to see this through to the heat death of the universe. And then, like Galactus, I'll be reborn as the new cosmic force that creates the next universe.
Wow.
Yep.
That's really deep for this podcast.
No, but for real, I'm ready to be dead right now.
I mean, I wouldn't complain.
Well, no, you would not. All right, so housekeeping. We're on YouTube. We got one episode, the first episode. We're working on getting the rest of them up there, but within the next couple of weeks, we should be up to speed so that every time we're posting on our podcast feeds, we'll be posting there too. So you'll be seeing that on our Twitter and everywhere else we're posting. Please come listen and follow us. So go ahead, please listen and follow us on YouTube as well. Subscribe, like, bell smash.
Smash that bell. Greg is convinced that if he spreads these out, I was telling you this before we actually started, but if we spread out the uploads, it's going to trick the algorithm into somehow letting more people see it. So he thinks he has this thing figured out. We'll find out if he's crazy or not. And if it doesn't work, he's got such a terrible reputation that it won't matter.
And there's nothing I like more than tricking people into listening to me. So hopefully that works. And a lot of people are forced to do something they don't want to do. Speaking of things that we don't want to do, Jason, give us some corrections.
All right. So I actually had some in-depth corrections to give, but Greg told me that he thinks we're getting too deep in the woods with our corrections.
Oh, absolutely. You're
in the woods or deep in the weeds?
Too into the weeds.
Into the weeds, but is it deep in the woods?
Into the weeds.
So anyway, Greg, cue corrections music now. I'm going to try to keep it high level. So last week I talked about how in Half-Life Alyx there was an issue with family share. They had that fixed by, I think it was day 2 or 3. So apparently that was an accident on their end, is what they say. A launch day mistake.
Do you not believe them?
No, I want to believe them. I think for the most part, Steam gives me no reason not to believe them. I mean, it was their idea. I mean, they've had other developers doing it, so I think it's good to see them practice what they preach and fix it quickly.
Cool.
The next thing that I had, and I have a lot on the dock here, but I'm not actually going to go into it all. But I said that the Valve Index was Valve's low-end VR headset. I was wrong about that. What actually happened is that originally Valve had partnered with HTC to develop the Vive. So HTC handled the manufacturing of it, but Valve did the development of it. They split around 2019, and so Vive now makes a product line called the Cosmos, and they have different tiers of the Cosmos, and then they have the Vive Pro still. That's their kind of their high-end one. And then separately from all that, Valve has started manufacturing their own headset, and it's called the Index. So that's their high-end one. So that is all I have for corrections.
And I think that's all we had, because we don't get anything wrong ever.
We're so informed.
Keeping up with Half-Life, though, IGN, Tom Marks at IGN specifically, did an interview with some people over there who have something to do with Half-Life. I don't remember their names or what they did, but basically it's a nice little read on, if you're ever curious why it took them so long to make anything else in the Half-Life series. It basically boils down to they didn't want to. It's a little more nuanced than that, but basically Valve always considered Half-Life as a series that pushed the boundaries of certain technical advances in gaming, and specifically I believe in Half-Life 2 it was the way that physics worked, and with obviously Half-Life Alyx they really wanted to push VR to the next level, and it looks like they have, maybe not in the same way, but the whole thing seems kind of silly to me, especially considering the way that people talk about the ending to Half-Life 2 Episode 2 and the cliffhanger and how good it is and still is well received even all these years later. Nobody on that team had creative drive to finish that. Seems a little odd. I mean, obviously it didn't work. Like, whether they wanted to or not, it didn't happen. And the reasoning is good enough, I guess. Again, we're not getting it, at least not anytime soon. We'll see what happens with the reception of Alyx and everything, but that's pretty much why we didn't get it.
Yeah, I find that really interesting, especially given the Half-Life 2 Episode 3 script or story leak that happened a couple years ago.
It was the former story narrative guy. He had actually left Valve at that point, and I think whether it was with their permission or not, he released a draft that he had written at some point.
So you can't tell me nobody on the team had the creative drive to do it. There had to have been other extenuating circumstances, or they just wanted to put more energy into building their platform than they wanted to into developing games.
I guess, but at that, the way companies are set up, you create a whole. It is a separate company. Valve is not Steam. Steam is Steam, and Valve is Valve. They're all they're all one big family. But what does it matter that Steam is a thing that's rising and growing, as long as you have funds for your development team? But like I said, we still don't have it. We still don't have a real concrete answer. I mean, we do. We have to take them at their word, at face value. But it's not a very satisfying answer. Let's just say that.
No.
I'm not full. I'm hungry.
It feels like that's how things just go sometimes. If the truth is just boring, it's just unsatisfying.
That's true, especially so many years removed.
So yeah, there's probably we think there's all this mystery behind what's going on there, and maybe that's just the truth. Is we didn't want to.
Yeah,
I mean, I get maybe not feeling like you could never live up to it, and you just didn't want to let everybody down. That maybe kind of makes sense. But it's an interesting choice.
Indeed. Alessandro Barbosa at GameStop. Oh, I can't believe I just said that. That's like the cardinal sin.
Why did you say that? Why did you say that?
Why did I say what?
Whatever you said. I don't even know what you did.
I said GameStop instead of GameSpot, like some sort of idiot who can't read and doesn't know. All right, that's fine. We're going to keep this in and we're going to immortalize this mistake. Alessandro Barbosa of GameSpot.com reports Switches are sold out pretty much everywhere. And my wife, Rachel, backs that up when she went looking for one, because we're Animal Crossing crazy right now. And she was legitimately looking up prices on used Switches and Switch Lites. But because retailers are out, and their distribution lines are clogged up or just completely shut down because of COVID. Some of them are going for as high as $400, and a few crazy people think they're going to get $600 for a Switch. Maybe someone lucky out there did, and I'm sorry if you paid $600, which is twice the amount of retail for like a brand new Switch, but that wasn't worth it, guy. It just wasn't worth it.
I totally agree. It's interesting to see this happen because normally this happens at like the beginning, like when the Switch first launched and there was the shortage. Usually it doesn't happen this far into, and I kind of feel like this is really unprecedented.
Yeah, it is.
So it's interesting. I would be lying if I said I didn't like consider selling mine.
I was just about to ask, would you sell your Switch right now and be willing to part with it for, who knows how long until you can go buy, a retail price one again?
I think I would, if for any other reason than well, for one, I might actually consider the Switch Lite because I rarely play it docked.
Those Joy-Cons, man, though, you can't separate them, and the sticks have the same problem, and then you have to send the entire machine in to get fixed.
Oh, yeah. Well, not to mention I do hook it up sometimes when we have people over and we play Jackbox.
What if I come over
whatever.
and we want to play Smash for 5 seconds?
That's a good point.
Before you remember how bad you are at it.
I beat you once, right?
I don't believe so. That sounds like a bold-faced lie.
Well, then we're going to have to play again soon to see.
We are. Not with Sean, though.
No, because he'll beat us both.
He will. Badly. So bad. How much would you need to sell it for?
400 would be fine. I make $100.
That's
So, what about you? So you're saying you wouldn't sell it? Because right now I have nothing on there that I'm playing.
No, especially not now, because now all three of us are playing.
Oh, yeah. The Animal Crossing.
But let's pretend that that's not a thing. Let's pretend it's just Karch. No, I still play that thing daily, if not 6 times a week for at least an hour a day.
What do you play?
And whatever. I'm always playing something. I've been talking about it every single week for the most part. For the first time in forever, I've actually done almost no switching, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But I mean, I think it's a ridiculous price, but it would have to be $600 because then I would take that $600 and buy a cheaper $400 one. and then I would have a $200. Is that right? Am I doing that math right?
Yeah, that's good math.
No, I'd still only have $100 profit.
Why?
Because this is not a math podcast, Jason. Just believe in my math.
600. You sell it for 600, then you buy one for 400.
But I bought it for 300 originally.
Oh my gosh!
300 plus minus. No. See, this is why we're not a math podcast.
Welcome everybody to the Karch and Jason Math Podcast. We are guest host today is Mr. Brown from Lakewood. No, it was what was the name of our Carwise Middle School?
Yep,
7th grade.
Is it Mr. Brown?
I think so.
It was Mr. Bryant.
Mr. Bryant.
Yeah, he didn't like me or Jason.
No, he didn't.
We were chatty Cathy's.
Still are.
Yeah, we're doing this for a living now.
So speaking of Switch and insanity, Nintendo had some other news happen this week.
Sure did.
Tell us about that.
There are rumors. Yeah, it's not news, but it is a rumor, and it sounds like a pretty substantiated rumor. Although I haven't seen the big dogs like Jason Schreier at Kotaku isn't being like, oh yeah, that's legitimate. But strong, consistent rumors about Nintendo doing something big. Lots of big things for Mario's 35th anniversary as it approaches. I don't know the date, but Andy Robinson over at Video Games Chronicle claims that Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy will be available in a single package on the Nintendo Switch relatively soon. And that makes me a super happy guy because just the day before the rumors were circulating very similarly. And of course, our immediate thought was, oh, they'll sell them piecemeal and I won't want any part of that. I'll buy maybe my favorite one and then I'll walk away. But this is an enticing offer.
Oh, yeah. I'd probably pay $60 for it because it sounds like it's not just going to be like a port. It sounds like it's going to get some sort of remastered treatment.
Oh, so I didn't even think about that. I would take a straight up port, but maybe with just like an HD, filter basically put over it. But if they're doing like they did with the
Wind Waker.
No, not Wind Waker, but Ocarina of Time on a 3DS.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it still looks old, but it looks like night and day when you compare them side by side. And Galaxy already looks really good, and the people who emulated on the Dolphin emulator, which is the Wii/GameCube emulator, they've done a lot of stuff to mod it and make it look really, really good on better computers and stuff.
I wonder if they would be including Galaxy 2 if they were to do that, because I beat Galaxy 1 on the Wii U, but I honestly didn't play Galaxy 2, not because I thought Galaxy was a great game. I really hated and disliked the controls with the Wiimotes and how much you had to point at the screen and stuff. I didn't like that.
In which one?
The first Galaxy.
I mean, you didn't really have to.
Didn't you have to do that to get some of those little stars or something?
You did, but you almost never needed the star bits.
Well, I didn't know that.
But that was what Player 2 was for. You could turn the second Wii remote on, give it to your little brother or sister, and they could just shake it at the screen and collect them.
I didn't have that. I played it as a 27-year-old man.
You still had a little brother and a little sister. You needed to call them for their duty.
Well, I think I lived in Canada at the time.
Well, that's a big problem.
It was. So, are we going to talk about the other thing that happened for Nintendo this week? Or
we are. We were saving the best for last.
Oh, sorry. So I don't know how this goes.
Well, you should not, because it's totally out of order. But my point is, I don't have a point. The news is, we've been waiting for a Nintendo Direct, and they finally delivered. Except they shadow dropped it on a Thursday. I don't even remember what day it was anymore. But it was last week, and it literally came out of nowhere. Nobody knew about it. There were a couple people who were dropping rumors. I mean, obviously it wasn't a rumor. They knew. But everyone thought they were just crazy pants. And so I'm sure they're feeling really vindicated right now. But even though they called it a mini direct, it was lengthy and meaty. I think the only reason they call it a mini is because they didn't have a really major first-party game like a Zelda or a Mario-themed thing to announce. And I'm sure they're saving that for a regular direct or E3, because at this point we're just, well, not E3, but whatever E3 was going to be. Because at this point, we're only 2 months away from that time. But let's go ahead and open that document. And
you don't have to tell everybody that we're opening a document.
You talk about the document all the time. I thought the document was the third member of the podcast.
Oh, I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, I do too. Mr. Document. Or Mrs. Document.
Either way. Different pages could be different things. So
they opened up with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition coming May 29th, and now I know what I'm playing for the month of May for my JRPG-a-thon. And it looks dope. The Wii was an ugly, underpowered system, and that game deserved better, and it's going to get it. I played it for a little bit, but I never got past a couple hours, but I really liked what I saw, so like I said, I'll be picking that up immediately when it drops. Again, in May 29th. Next up of interest is a 2K collection. Well, several collections from 2K, also coming on May 29th, including BioShock, the collection, Borderlands Legendary Collection, and XCOM 2 and all of its DLC. I know that's a bit more up your alley, Jason.
Yeah, I was actually sitting here thinking, because you and I had discussed splitting that BioShock collection, which I might still be up for, but I might want to play it on PC, so I don't know. But it's probably going to at least be $40, I would think.
Yeah, I'm not too thrilled at them charging a full $60 for really any of those, but especially the BioShock collection. But it would be just like you to go play it on PC after it was finally available for the Switch, even though you've been dragging your feet forever.
I know, but I did play the first one on PS4.
And you liked it?
Yeah, I loved it.
Everybody does.
The only reason, it's a great game. The only reason I didn't finish it was because that was around the time that I kind of I got overwhelmed with the number of devices that I owned, so I decided that I was going to get rid of everything and only have a PC and the Switch. And I really loved the simplicity of that. So I sold my PlayStation 4 and I gave all my games to Greg. And then I think Greg traded that in without even playing it because he is the worst.
The worst.
Otherwise I totally would have finished it. And I don't know where I want to play it, but I do want to go back and play that at some time.
Cool. Well, I'm going to pick it up. Maybe not right away because it's the same day as Xenoblade, but I'll definitely get it. unless, you end up buying it on PC, and then I'll probably just give in and play it there too.
I swear you can get it for like under $15.
Oh, I know.
PC.
You can. You can get it on PS4 for like $15 or $20, especially when it's on sale, but that's not the point. I want to play it on my Switch. Excuse me. I am pathetic. I'm sure that's in my profile somewhere.
Yeah, it's honestly been in the past year for me that I've moved to playing first-person shooters on PC, and now I just don't know that I could go back.
I understand. It's totally different, and it's a lot better. Moving on, the next item of note, Animal Crossing getting an update already. Bunny Day coming April 1st up through April 12th, which is actually Easter, so it'll be ending on Easter, which is kind of cool. You're going to dig up eggs, you're going to fish up eggs. It looks super cute. Juliet's literally been asking about it every single day since she saw the video, because I made the mistake of showing it to her right away.
Oh my gosh. Genius.
But it's tomorrow, so as long as she does her homeschool without throwing a huge fit, we will let her play it, and she can go ahead and collect as many eggs as she wants, and it'll be a great time.
What happens if it was kind of like an April Fool's joke and it actually starts on April 2nd?
Well, then Nintendo's going to have to compensate me with
for the pain.
For the pain. Yeah. The emotional pain.
I feel you.
With more $600 Switches. All right. Another game of note, Good Job. Don't really know how to explain this. It's this kind of wonky puzzle game where you're this stick figure in an office setting, and you're supposed to be fixing things. You're kind of like a handyman, except the way you go about it is hilariously catastrophic. Like, you're breaking stuff all the time, but as long as you get the job done, it seems like, no harm, no foul. It did see, like, in the trailer, there was like money racking up. So maybe if you do break too much, like, and you charge too much to the accounts and everything, it does become a problem, but it looked like a lot of fun.
Is it one of those that like messes? Did it look like one of those that kind of messes with the control scheme to where it's really hard to pull off anything? Like, Surgeon Simulator or Octodad?
No, it was not like, well, maybe a little like Octodad. Surgeon Simulator not so much because of the first person VR aspect.
Well, but they before it was a VR game, it was just a flat game.
Gotcha. All right. Well, still first person, and I do remember seeing. So I haven't played it before, but I've seen some about it, and I think you might be right, but I'm not entirely sure. It is goofy though. It is like kind of slapsticky. It's not like play it straight kind of thing. It's the whole point is that you are destroying things in an attempt to fix stuff and get a job done.
Yeah, it sounds zany, like kind of like Untitled Goose Game. Mm-hmm. I mean, in the terms of the zaniness, but cool.
Then we have the newest Smash character, the Wave 6, as they're calling it, DLC character, is somebody from ARMS. That was it. They're going to tell us more in June, but it's going to be some character from ARMS. It's probably going to be multiple characters from ARMS, if I had to guess, where like the costumes change and you're the girl and the costume changes and you're the boy or whatever, but we'll see.
I'm not really a fan of that, but that's fine.
Have you bought any of the Smash DLC?
I never do.
No, me neither. I wish I had friends to play, but I don't. And online's not an option. I don't. Online's not an option. Online is not an option, and I don't have anybody local to play with.
What do you mean online's not an option?
It sucks. You've tried it before.
It was fine.
Oh, it was terrible.
Maybe you need better internet.
Mr. Fiber over here couldn't get
Mr. Fiber
couldn't get this episode to start, and it was just me talking to myself for a really long time.
I wish you would have recorded that.
I couldn't.
Oh.
When you start the episode, I can't. You're the one who has to hit the record button. That's right. Exactly.
Sorry.
Speaking of ARMS, there's a free trial that started on the 26th, and it goes through the 6th of April. So if you are a Nintendo Switch Online member, you have access to it. I've already forgotten about this. I said I was going to do it, but we probably won't.
Nah.
Skip it.
Skip.
Bravely Default 2 showed off a really meaty trailer with some extra character reveals, like names and party members. I'm going to skip and just say that the demo launched that day, and then we'll talk about that more in a bit when I go through my impressions on it. But needless to say, I was super excited about that, and I really enjoyed the demo, and we'll get into specifics momentarily. Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics. Basically, board game the video game. It's got everything. Checkers, backgammon, Mancala, fishing. That's right. the classic board game known as Fishing, Solitaire, and all other kinds of card games. And it comes out on June 5th, and I'm actually really excited to play that because I like board games.
Interesting.
Yeah. Jedi Knight 3, Jedi Academy, the one that everybody really liked except nobody ever played because I'm not really sure why. It came out on the 26th. It was another shadow drop that day. And it also came out on PS4 if you want to play it there. And I think it's already been on PC forever at this point.
Is that the one we had on GameCube?
No, that's what I'm saying. That was 2. That was Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, which also had a multiplayer where you could be a Jedi and just run around and, fight people. And it was really good.
It was amazing.
Everyone said this one is better, though.
Huh.
But I'd never heard of it. I mean, I have heard of it, but it was years later that I was like, they made a third one. I think it might have been an Xbox exclusive, which would have very much explained why I didn't know anything about it, but I'm not sure. Yeah, but
weird.
The online is they have the online too. So if you want to play with friends or maybe randos, I don't know how it works. And there was a lot more other stuff, and they ended the direct with one more thing like they usually do. Unfortunately, it was the Pokemon expansion pass. Unfortunately, because I wanted something that I actually will play. It looked fine. It actually almost made me want to play Pokemon, but I'm definitely not buying the expansion pass. But if you like Pokemon and you have bought the expansion pass in anticipation for this, there is a lot of stuff. I'm sure you've already seen it. If not, go look at that video from the mini direct on the 26th, and you will see a bunch of cool new stuff that is in store for you, just not for me.
Would I be a bad friend if I let you start playing Pokemon again after you claimed you were quitting it?
Yes, you would be a bad friend.
Okay, I'm not going to let you do it.
No, I'm not. I'm never going to play Sword and Shield again. That's ridiculous.
No, so now you're kind of backtracking.
No, I'm saying I'm not backtracking. I do have a proclivity, a desire to sometimes replay Pokemon games. I will not be replaying Sword and Shield.
I understand. See, I thought that you were quitting Pokemon from here on out, like you're done forever.
I am. I'm still done with it forever. I'm saying I'll be tempted by the good ones in the series. Sword and Shield is not one that'll tempt me.
Let's flash forward 5 years from now, and they're going to release a new Pokemon game called Pokemon Fork and Knife. Are you going to play that one?
Yes, because I'm pathetic, as I mentioned already, and you're going to have to hide my wallet from me.
And so that's what I'm saying. Will I be a bad friend if I let you? Okay.
Yes, you will.
Now I know my duty. That's all I wanted to know.
Jot that down, everybody. 5 years from now, Karch is not allowed to play Pokemon Fork and Knife or Spoon.
That's the expansion DLC.
That is the expansion DLC. All right, so that wraps up the Nintendo Direct. It was very short, as far as videos go. It was only 22 or 26 minutes. It wasn't even a half hour, so go watch that. Skip the stuff you don't like and revel in the stuff that you do like. And that wraps up the news. Jason, what have you been playing?
Well, I want to start by telling you what I tried to play. I tried to play Call of Duty Warzone. I wish I could tell you more about what it is, but I can't because I wasn't able to play it. It's a free-to-play sort of game. I don't know if it's Battle Royale. I don't know if I have no idea what it is because I wasn't able to actually play it. The issue started when I realized, it's an 80 gig download. I'm like, okay, that's fine. No big deal. I downloaded it. It went really slow for some reason. I'm not really sure why it was going so slow because my Steam downloads are super fast. Ubisoft super fast. Origin downloads super fast. But for whatever reason, I was having issues with Battle.net. And this is not like a new game. Hold on, let me look up when it was released. It came out earlier this month, so it's a fairly new game, but it's not like release weekend or whatever.
What before you keep going, what is the premise of Warzone?
It's free to play.
It's free.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like a battle royale.
Call of Duty, and you saw free to play, and you were like, "Sign me up."
Yeah. Actually, I just googled it. It is a free to play battle royale.
Oh, okay.
Call of Duty, basically. So that's what it is. And then I got that 80 gigs downloaded, and I went to launch it, and there was a 60 gigabyte patch. So I did the download. I was literally about to hit play. I was going to play with Tyler, which is one of our other friends, and we both got hit with that 60 gig patch. So we played Far Cry 5. But then later on, Tyler was telling me he finally got it to download and he went to launch it, and he couldn't get logged into his Activision account. So he wasn't able to even launch the game. Then later on, like a couple days later, he was able to get into his Activision account. And once he was in the game, I think your Activision account has to talk to your Blizzard account, and that messed up. So he was in the Activision thing, but the Blizzard thing wouldn't work. So he just gave up and deleted it. I don't know what's going on there.
Sounds like they dropped the ball. Maybe. I don't remember seeing a lot of news about this one, whether people were liking it or hating it or having problems, but
yeah, I mean, neither.
Usually keep my ear to the ground about Call of Duty stuff. So
yeah, but usually if something,
if people are mad, you know about it. You're right.
Right. I mean, and if people are happy, like Apex Legends, you heard a lot of buzz about that when it came out, and I'm not hearing anything like that with this one. So I don't know if I'll be able to play it or not. But more to come if I am. So what we did actually play was we ended up playing Far Cry 5, and it was actually really cool. We played it. First of all, I'll start by saying this. This is our go-to fallback game when everything else messes up, because it's so easy to get into. Then you get into each other's games. You click a mission. Only one person has to do it, whoever the host is, and then you guys are tracking it. It's on both of your maps, and you're going and you're playing, and it's a lot of fun. So if you haven't checked out Far Cry 5 and you're looking for a good multiplayer game that's kind of like, yeah, it's a first-person shooter, then I would highly recommend. It's got a co-op campaign, which is really nice because a lot of multiplayer games don't have a co-op campaign anymore. But we played that, and I had Greg log into because he doesn't own this game. He logged into my PC via Dixper, and then he was playing, like, he and I took turns playing with Tyler. And so, like, Greg said on his end it was pretty smooth. So I just thought that was the coolest thing. And then we ended the night on this website called watchtogether.com. It's watch, WATCH, the number 2, and then Gether, GETHER. And that is it's a thing where you log in and you guys all get into a single room, and then you can queue up YouTube videos and watch them synced and all watch them together.
It's really cool. I've never heard of that before.
Me neither. I was a couple drinks in, and I just Googled, like, Tyler was trying to make us watch Fat Nick videos. I
never heard of it.
He's not a good rapper, but Tyler, for whatever reason, loves his stuff. He's kind of funny. He kind of reminds me, like, if Andy Milonakis tried to have a rap career, like a serious rap career.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you right there. I don't want any part of
that. So we were queuing up videos on YouTube and going 1, 2, 3, click. So I Googled, like, watch YouTube together. And
there it was. There was an answer for your ridiculous problem. And yet, I love it. So congratulations, Watch Together. Kudos. Good idea.
Yeah. Anyway, what did you play, Karch? You dipped your toe into that demo? Did you beat it?
I didn't. I need to go back to it, actually. I think I'm on, if it's anything like the original, which I'll be talking about in a moment as soon as I can find my notes. There they are.
In the doc?
In the doc.
You're letting us down, Doc.
Don't do that, Doc. It's actually a doctor who also happens to be a document. So, it kind of works.
It's like Dr. Pepper.
So if it's anything like the demo for the first one, it's pretty short. Gives you a good idea of how the game plays and, the characters and what you can expect as far as just moment-to-moment gameplay. But it is a lot harder, and they've already said this, it is a lot harder than the base game will be, just so that you can get a real good idea of what it feels like to play some of those certain classes. And I got to the last boss, and he kicked my teeth in. Like, if you've ever played a turn-based JRPG and the boss opens up and just instantly one-shots one of your people, you're in a bad place. And that's exactly what happened to me. And no amount of, like, I could have had like an unlimited amount of revive spells or items, and it just wouldn't have mattered because you just would have kept doing it. So I need to figure out what I'm doing wrong or level up a bit more. I'm not sure which one, but it was very challenging and I enjoyed it. But going back, so if you've never played Bravely Default before, You don't know what Bravely Default 2 is about. It was a 3DS game that came out during a time where classic turn-based JRPGs had kind of fallen out of style for a more action-oriented.
That was in 2012.
Yes, 2012. Thank you, Jason, for filling that time like that. But it was an answer to a longing, a desire to have those games again. And it's this kind of cute, pretty by the numbers, turn-based JRPG by Tokyo Game Factory. Your 4 characters. There's 4 crystals. There's a main protagonist man, a main protagonist girl, and it's all very. You've seen this before. The things that make it unique were the way they did battle. The name is ridiculous because it's named after the battle system where you use brave points or you default. In battle, you can choose to default and save up brave points, and then you can spend brave points to take more actions in any given turn. So normally you take 1 turn at a time and everybody goes and everything. And in this, you can use brave points to do like 6 attacks at once. Well, not 6, but 4. And then you can go into negative points, and then you're prone, and it's just kind of this back and forth. It's very similar, but not exactly like the system for Octopath Traveler. So,
I was just thinking that the break system or whatever.
Right.
Where you have to save up I can't remember what they called in that one, but and kind of Final Fantasy too, right? I mean,
it's a Square Enix game, and so there's a huge the spells and the items, and there's a lot of references that they use for as far as just naming conventions, but it is its own little universe. It's separate from the Final Fantasy universe, so you won't see things like chocobos and certain summons and that kind of thing. But I love the first one, as basic as it was, and as kind of paint by numbers as it could be. It also did a lot of things differently, and I feel like this one's going to do the same thing because they're already setting it up to be like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen, which means you don't know what's going to happen. I'm not saying the hook is going to be earth-shattering writing and make everybody think, rethink about how they view these kinds of games. But if you're going to be pleasantly surprised, because if it's anything like the first one. So,
did you like it more than Octopath?
Do I like Bravely Default more than Octopath?
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Octopath was boring. The gameplay was good, and
the visuals were stunning.
The visuals are stunning, but that's it. That's where it stops. And the gameplay's not great. It's just good because once you have all your party members in Octopath and you've played for about 10 hours, you've played the whole game, except it doesn't ever get more fun. So yeah,
I mean, I think I put close to 20 hours into it, which is a lot for me.
Yeah.
But I feel like I got almost through one story arc, or maybe I did. I got through the first part of one story arc and I was almost done with the second, and I was just like, this game's trading in for $30, and
that's pretty much where I left off too. So.
I think I've had my fun with it. So I mean, I think I enjoy it because I'm not really a JRPG guy.
Yeah,
and so there were parts of it that I did enjoy, but I definitely saw the shortcomings that everybody said that it had. And I think what was that game, an 80-hour game? I just think that's too much for what they had.
It was if you went through it all, even the very end game stuff, which happened after the story. But back to Bravely Default. So I love the first one. The second one is clearly more of the same in a good way. It's a job-based system, so you've got 4 main party members, and I don't think you'll get more or less at any point for more than just an hour or 2, I would imagine. So everybody has a job and a sub-job. And it's basic stuff soldier or white mage or black mage. I imagine that they'll be adding new jobs or tweaking existing ones considerably just to shake things up. But like I said, it's more of the same, but in just, but better. It looks great. The music is really good. There's a guy named Elvis in your party. Don't know why his name is Elvis. Don't know why he's Scottish, but I'm so, just a fun little thing in the beginning. There's a crystal. The water crystal is either stolen or corrupted or something. I don't remember, but you're in a desert island or a desert area, and instead of whatever would normally be the very little water that is in a desert being dried up, it's actually overflowing. And so part of the town is underwater, and they don't know what to do with themselves because they're not used to that much water, and it's ruining their ecosystem, which is just a kind of fun little thing.
It's just fun little natural disaster.
Yeah, fun little natural, just floods, tsunamis. They're the best. We're gonna fix it though. We're gonna fix it with the crystals.
Well, I hope you do.
We got it. Looks like they introduced side quests because everybody has side quests now. There was just one that I saw and it was stupid. You know, it was go get a bunch of wolf pelts, which meant I had to kill way more wolves than pelts I actually needed. Walking and running feels really weird. I didn't care for just the animation and how floaty he feels, even though he's just walking down a street. Let's see, they got rid of so the original, you would walk around a very classic style. You would get into a random encounter randomly, like you wouldn't see the enemy; it would just happen. Except it had something to off-put that because you could control your encounter rate. So it would be the base encounter rate, and you could either double it, you could have it, or quarter it, or even turn it off altogether. So if you were in a a kind of a puzzly oriented area, or there were a lot of chests you wanted to find, you just turn that sucker off, run around and get all your chests, and then if you wanted the grind, you could turn it all the way up. So they got rid of all of that, and instead you can see the enemies on the screen.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people like that, except I hate it because the enemies run at you. And it's not just this game. Any game where they implement this, the enemies are almost always unavoidable. So what was the point? I can see the enemy. Oh, good. I still had to fight it. I didn't want to, and I still had to fight it. So I really hope that this beta is, or this demo is a sort of pseudo beta, because they are taking feedback from people, because the release date is still just 2020. So they have a decent amount of time to fix things. If I had to guess, this is going to be a fall or end of 2020 game at the earliest. They might even push it to 2021, but
unfortunately, I feel like that's such a big thing to take out. I don't think they're going to be able to.
No, not take out the. I don't know how you do it, but I want control over my encounter rate again. It was amazing. I love that. That was one of the first games that started doing that, and then everybody started doing it afterward. Like in
how did they frame it in the how? So in Octopath, you can do something similar, but it's a skill. So it kind of makes sense in the universe.
It was just a setting. It was just a setting.
See that to me, that's kind of like why.
Don't start that. Who
ruins the immersion? It's not real.
You're not one of those guys. You're not.
I am.
You are not.
For this.
For this, my sacred JRPGs.
Yeah, you're messing with my genre.
Yeah, but the last thing I'll say is, I mean, the graphics overall looked, they looked, good because it's a Switch game now. Even if at the same time it still looks like it could be better, they're going for a certain style, that kind of chibi, simplistic, cartoony style. It does look really sharp though when you're in combat. It almost has a Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening on the Switch kind of look, where everything's a little shiny and polished, but not quite as toy-like. Yeah. So the in-combat scenes, because they're a little bit smaller, there's not as much environment around. They can focus on stuff like in the previous games, you would switch your outfits when you switched your jobs, and they looked fine. The robes would come on for the mages, and the armor would come on for the warriors and stuff. But in this one, the warrior puts on his armor, and it's just like you're just shimmering, and you're covered in it, and you look really cool. So, always fun for the power fantasy.
Sweet.
Yes.
Well, I played a little bit more Half-Life Alyx, so I still love it so much. I put in 2 more hours, which is 2 play sessions for me, because it's really hard for me to get motivated to stand there and play a game for more than 1 hour at a time, because you have to stand up the whole time, and I've already done a whole day of my life, So anyway, nothing really to add from what I said last week. I'm reading through my notes here. I found grenades, which are really, really neat, the way that you do them in VR, which, it's not anything crazy creative. Like you pull the pin, you press the button, you throw it. Getting more used to the blink traversal. I learned that, last week I complained that I couldn't teleport backwards. Well, I realized, duh, Jason, you're in VR, just turn around and then run. So I learned that. I I like the flow of the game because it intersperses puzzle elements and lets you get like above ground in between sequences of being in the pitch black dark and fighting head crabs and zombies, and you kind of get to breathe a little bit, even though you've got the Combine coming after you, which are like the foot soldier humans. But it's not as scary as being in the dark with zombies. The only thing is, I wish I could carry more than one auxiliary slot. You have like this auxiliary slot in your wrist, and you have to choose between carrying a health vial, which are sparse, and grenades, which are also sparse. So what I've been doing is I have the health vial in my wrist, and I've been carrying a grenade. Your weapon is in your right hand. I want to keep my gun in my hand. So I've just been carrying around a grenade, which has come in handy because they introduced this one really large enemy that's a little harder to take down. So I don't want to say any spoilers, but I really enjoying my time with it, and I'm 4 chapters in. I think there are 11 chapters total, so I guess about a third.
That's good math.
Yeah, it's better math than we did earlier.
Yep.
So that's all for me this week. That I didn't have a ton of time.
In Half-Life, is Blink the only traversal option? Like,
no, you can do fully fluid and just like walk like you normally would. It's just I don't think my VR legs are good enough to handle it in that game with the
VR, man. You need to get them. Somebody get some legs.
I can do it, but I kind of have to like shuffle my feet and pretend like I'm walking in order not to. I should try it out though, the continuous mode, and see if there's some VR trick that they've done with like head bob or something to see if it lessens the motion sickness of. I actually heard about this back in 2014, but I want to say it may have been Samsung, but it may have been somebody else. They were working on these headphones that used like I want to say some sort of like electromagnetic pulse to shift the fluid in your inner ears to make your body feel like it was experiencing locomotion, so that you could walk around in VR and not get motion sick at all. I mean, obviously that hasn't come to market, but I do feel like they're going to have something creative like that eventually, and I'm going to be a sucker and buy it because I can't not get cool stuff like that.
I mean, that sounds really awesome. I'm for someone who doesn't use VR a lot, the few times I've done it, I felt like I was able to handle the free motion pretty well, depending on the game, of course, but not for more than like 30 to 60 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you learn some tricks. Like you never want to strafe. You never want to do that in VR because then you have it like the image going left to right or right to left, right in front of your face instead of forward and back. And that causes you to get really motion sick. Mm-hmm. That's the main thing. Usually you don't really want to turn for kind of the same reason. So instead of turning in a traditional game where you turn with your right thumbstick to turn your head left and right, you want to just do that in VR with your head. Just move your head. Don't use the turn.
That makes sense.
So anyway. All right. Well, that's all I want to say about it.
Did you write anything obscene with the markers yet?
You know what? I totally missed the markers. I walked right past the markers. I'm pretty sure the markers, I don't even know where they are, but I think they're at the very beginning of the game. And I just walked right past them.
I can't believe you. Give your copy back. Steam, take his license away.
I didn't know because I didn't want to look anything up about the game, so I didn't see the millions of people
I just saw it, I didn't even know what I was looking at when I first saw it. And then I think the third time I saw a GIF or a video about it, I was like, oh, it's Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because oh, this is amazing. Like this is not the amazing part about this game. Other games have had writing mechanisms and draw silly, immature things with it.
There's a whole I can't remember what it's called. It's this art thing where you could it might just be called Art Gallery.
Art Gallery in VR.
Anyway, there's a really one that everybody uses. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, my point is that it exists. And if you want to do it, there are actually really cool tools that you can draw in VR with that thing and not be relegated to a marker on a window.
Thank you for that.
Did you play anything else this week, Karch?
Unfortunately. I played way too much Magic Arena. I think I mentioned almost like barely a second thought. I was like, oh yeah, I tried out Magic the Gathering Arena, and it was kind of fun. Turns out it was a lot of fun. And Brandon, if you're listening, this is your fault that I wasted so much of my weekend not cleaning or doing something I should have been doing and playing Magic instead. So it's just so much better than Hearthstone. I always knew that Magic was a better game, the rules and the structure and the way that it's been designed, because it's been around for 20 plus years.
Sure, yeah.
That's a no-brainer. But now I really know, because I've gotten to play a bunch of it with other human beings. I skipped the bots. I went straight to playing people. And
Bold.
I got up really early on Saturday morning to go get groceries. Turns out the store wasn't open, so I had to come back home. And I wasn't sleepy anymore, so I played a bunch of Magic. And a bunch of scrubs are playing at 5 a.m. in the morning. And I just destroyed them, got my rank up really high, and that's what happened. I got bitten by that bug when I kept winning. I was like, well, let's see how far I can take this.
Yeah. So how's the matchmaking? I assume it's kind of rank-based?
Yes, there's a constructed mode and there's a non-constructed mode, and I've been playing in there is a ranked mode and a non-ranked, and I was playing in ranked only, and it was pretty good. You play people of a similar rank, only within like a point or two of yours, and they do it with precious metals, so like bronze, silver, gold, platinum, etc. But for the most part, they give you free decks to start with, and for the most part, I was playing people with those free decks or slightly altered with a couple extra cards swapped out. So, like I said, it felt really fair when I was playing against somebody who beat me, or even when I was winning, I was usually winning by the skin of my teeth. So that's always a fun experience too. But I'm still going free to play. Haven't been spending money yet. That'll probably change in about a month when they drop the new set and the easiest, quickest ways to get a bunch of cards. So, like I said last week, if free to play games with microtransactions and other purchases are not your thing, or you're prone to spending way too much money, stay away from it. Don't go anywhere near it, because it's got all the tricks and traps those games have. But it is Magic, so it has a little bit of extra, credentials in that regard. It's not some garbage free to play gotcha game where you're just buying cute things or sexy things or whatever things over and over again for nothing.
Stop ripping on sexy Mahjong. How many times do I have to tell you?
Sexy Mahjong is the cornerstone of the Switch eShop.
Right, exactly.
And then I haven't been playing any Animal Crossing because, once again, my wife and daughter have been playing a bunch. Mostly my wife. She's playing for everybody at this point. Money, she's buying everybody everything. And then she's irritated because it's just a really dumb feature. I say dumb, but I don't know how else you implement it well. But when you're playing on the same Switch, everybody lives on the same island. But progress is gated. Certain progress is gated behind the primary player, which was me because I played it first.
Oh man!
And it's not that big a deal because, for the most part, as long as I log in and play for anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes, I can get the thing done that lets her do whatever she wants for the next few days or a week. I had to be the person who built a bridge before they would let more people come to the town, but that took me no time at all. So for the most part, because that was a big complaint at the beginning, but it's really not that big a deal as long as the person who's the primary player didn't just disappear and stop playing. So, which I didn't. I'm still around.
Interesting. Unfortunately.
As we mentioned,
she hasn't kicked you out yet.
No, I just want to be dead.
Right. Well, everybody has aspirations.
Aspirations? Yeah, that's the right word. Yeah. All right. So we don't have anything this week for what we wish we were playing, because for once in our miserable lives, we're content.
I actually had an idea to replace this section, though, for this week.
Lay it on me, my friend.
Okay. I want you to rank the JRPGs that you've played in 2020 so far.
That's not a lot. I've only played 3.
Rank them.
Finish. All right. Well, let's see. Let's get them out there first. It was Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. Then it was Final Fantasy. Oh, this is easy. Final Fantasy Tactics. No problem. No contest.
Well, that's number 1.
Yeah. Even as good as Fire Emblem is, it doesn't hold a candle to what is in my mind, a perfect game. So, followed by Let's see. I haven't beaten Fire Emblem yet, but I still have. Correct. Well, Animal Crossing came and I haven't touched my Switch to play Fire Emblem since. I probably won't finish this before Final Fantasy VII comes out. So my idea is this is going to be the game I play when I don't have any other games to play.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So in April, at some, I'll finish Final Fantasy VII probably within the first week, maybe the second week, at which point I'll have all the way till May until Xenoblade comes out. So I'll probably play Fire Emblem after that. But I'm going to go give the silver medal to Fire Emblem because I have more fun playing that than Ni no Kuni. The story in Ni no Kuni is a lot better and the characters are a lot better. And it's just, it's whimsical and fun, but that game was not fun to play. I did not have a great time playing that. It was fine to frustrating at parts, but it was easy enough that I was able to get through it. And so I just did, but I didn't like it very much. So, there you go.
Well, cool. Well, thanks. I think we should do that periodically as you finish these games, like re-rank them.
Idea. Yeah. What's the point of doing it if I'm not going to talk about it?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And there can be.
You gave me an idea though, talking about our backlogs a little bit. It sounds like you have a plan for like what you want to be, what you want to play. I think my plan right now is to beat Half-Life. It's really weird not having a flat game because there have been some nights where I'm just like, I can't stand up anymore today. So I think I want to beat Half-Life, and then I bought for 85 cents. I bought Payday 2, and Tyler told me that it has some pretty cool online stuff. So hopefully I'll get a chance to play that with him at some point this week.
You still got ripped off.
Really?
I hear that game is trash. I mean, you might not have a problem with it, but I hear that game is trash.
You mean in terms of like the online infrastructure?
Isn't that all that the game is?
I don't know. It was 85 cents. He told me there was good stuff.
You still got taken for a ride, man.
An 85-cent ride,
Mr.
man.
Consumer, ladies and gentlemen, has been deceived. No, wow. I think maybe it's a specific version of Payday 2. But
I think the Switch one was garbage. I heard that.
Well, that's because it came out after all the other problems that people had with it on console or PC or something.
Oh, you know what, though? I think I remember, didn't they talk about they were going to fix it?
But that's the problem. They never did. Unless they did.
Payday 2 fixed. I'm typing it in.
Payday 2 is fixed.
Payday 2 is fixed. I don't remember. That'll be in corrections for next week.
What is 85 cents worth to you, everybody? Please send us your thoughts on what the value of less than $1 is in video games at neverfreetoplay@gmail.com. Or at me at Twitter.
Or if you really don't value the 85 cents, bump it up 15 cents and subscribe to our Patreon.
Yep. That's better than Payday 2 for sure.
Okay, well that's enough of that then. We don't have to talk about my backlog or my poor life decisions or any of that.
I want to, but maybe next week.
Okay, that sounds good. Because we do have to have a discussion around what we're going to buy. Because didn't you say you were going to buy yourself some sort of stress relief thing, even though you already bought Animal Crossing?
It's because we're eating out so much less, and we're not really purchasing that many more groceries. I'm like, the simple calculation in my head is I must have an extra $60 lying around right now.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more.
I must burn it immediately and spend it. And also the stimulus, if that ever actually does come and deposit itself into our bank accounts, we'll have a lot of extra money that we didn't previously have. And,
True.
Knock on wood, God willing, my job's not going anywhere because it's tech-based and I can do this from home forever. But no, I'm not.
I am going to peer pressure him into buying a new microphone.
You are not going to do that.
I am.
No, it's not happening.
It's not happening.
My microphone is better than yours right now. Until your microphone...
No, it's not.
Everybody says I sound better than you.
No, but they haven't listened to episode 5. I passed you last week.
Did you?
Yeah.
Mm.
But you were correct for the first 4 episodes.
All right. Well, then maybe it'll be a mic.
Okay. We, ladies and gentlemen, as you all know, we do have one loyal, amazing fan out there. I think we might have a couple more that I'll shout out at the end. But one that's written in 2 weeks in a row and subscribed to our Patreon. And I think this is the segment of the show where we will read his question. Do you want me to read it?
Well, yeah, you introduced it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So Sean writes to us at neverfreetoplay@gmail.com. And he says, "Hey fellas, question coming out of episode 5. Not sure now what sparked this, but what is your take on the price of games these days, especially given how flat it's been for over a decade now? Especially looking at you, Jason, the ultimate consumer. Take care, Sean."
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, thanks for that.
All right, ultimate consumer, lay it on us. For games,
I read the question. You have to give your impressions first. No,
my impressions first. Oh well, you know me. I'm a communist at heart, and I don't think anything should ever cost anything. Give me my healthcare for free. Give me my video games for free because, as we all know, video games are an essential service.
Socialize video games.
Socialize them. Come on, Bernie. You can do it.
Do it.
What's your take on the price of games these days, especially given how flat it's been? It's been flat, Sean, and listener, and anybody else with half a brain, because of the advent of DLC and microtransactions. And this is speaking only for the people who drive the price in the industry, and it doesn't trickle down like, you know, how we normally talk about trickle down, but there is a ripple effect in how other people price their games based on how the big dogs do it at PlayStation, Xbox, EA, etc. But because they can either you're a platform holder like the consoles and you get a cut of everything, or you are greed incarnate and you load microtransactions and loot boxes, and like, I don't want to necessarily throw DLC into that because I think DLC has a lot of merit, but most of the time the other stuff doesn't, in which you are now making so much more money than you ever would have by just bumping up the price $5 and $10 every generation. So $60 was what, the 360 generation?
Yeah, I think it moved from 50 to 60 at that point. Yeah,
I think you're right, because I think the Wii stayed at 50. Maybe?
No,
it didn't. It doesn't matter.
Hold on.
Anyway, the point is, $60. It stayed there. Full price AAA launch day games with no extra bells and whistles like, you know, gold packages and stuff cost $60. Then the PS4 and the Xbox One, the Wii U/Switch came out. They stayed at $60. How much would they have gone up? $10? That's nothing. It's nothing. It's a little bit more than a 10% increase. When you compare that to things like the enormous amount of success that Overwatch, Fortnite, and any other game like that, where it's fun, it's fulfilling even. And I'm not even going to talk about like mobile games where, you know, free to play mobile games. That's a whole different thing. But full price $60 game, it's complete. It is. It's fun. You're not missing out on anything if you don't drop money in. And yet, here's this option, and they're raking in record-breaking profits.
Oh, it's insane. I just looked this up. Activision Blizzard made $700 million last quarter, or maybe actually Q3 of last year. $700 million for microtransactions.
That was a microtransaction revenue. Okay, so
yes.
This is what I say to the price of games being so flat, is that the price of games has not technically stayed flat. It's gone up. It's just gone up in different ways. And if they're thinking about raising it, especially as games become less and less physical and more digital, I'm going to lose my cool, because
me too.
And again, this is only from the perspective of talking about the people who set the trends. Then you turn it around and you talk about Team Cherry, who created Hollow Knight, and they sold it for $15 brand new, pretty much everywhere they released it. And it's like, how? That game it's not hard to dump 30 hours into that game. It's still not hard to dump 60 hours into that game. And it's better than most anything I've ever played in my entire life. And they only charged $15 for it. And it's a massive success. Now, their team is smaller. They have way less overhead. There's a difference in tiers. But it's just, there was no microtransactions there. There was no DLC. It was all free DLC. The only thing they're going to charge you for at this point is a sequel. Same thing with Stardew Valley. One dude obviously gets all the money after the cuts of the various platform holders, but he's only charging $15, $20, and I'm sure it goes on sale all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not... Companies are going to want to make more money, and so, yeah, they might charge more on the ticket price, but you can't do that and then continue to ask for anywhere between the same amount or like 3 times that over the lifetime of the game, because like I know games are lasting longer, but people are also releasing way more games and people are buying way more games. So that whole argument doesn't work either. It also falls flat because like, oh, they're supporting it for years. And I'm like, but you're also releasing, like, Ubisoft, for example, they're like, okay, yeah, Rainbow Six Siege is a huge success and they're still supporting it, but they're also releasing a sequel while still supporting the original, and they're releasing 6 other games that are just like it, like The Division and so and so and so and so, and they all have their own microtransactions.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, there's no excuse that it should ever go up at this point.
I agree.
Move to a subscription. I guess that's my point, is eventually the ticket price goes away and you're just doing Xbox Game Pass type stuff.
I do wonder if we'll ever fully transition to that model. One thing to note in this whole discussion is that while the prices have remained flat in the US, they've increased other places. Like in Canada, new games are like $75, and some of that's due to exchange rate, but not all of it.
It's because of taxes too, though. Like I know a lot of places, especially places that do have socialized medicine and such, or they have like a value-added tax, is what they call it, the VAT.
Yeah.
And I know like some places, like I think it's the Netherlands, it's huge. It's like 70%.
Oh no! So in Canada, if I recall, I think it was total sales tax was like 15%.
No, I know Canada's is nowhere near that. I was just throwing a ridiculous factoid there, but like I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Possibly. I really don't know. All I know is that when I lived up there, the price of games went up during that time period, largely because of the exchange rate, but it never went back down, even when the exchange rate.
Oh, that's another thing though. Like that's
back out.
If it ever goes up, it's never going back down. So we have to, like, not that we can fight for it in any manner, but never once say out loud so that some corporation can hear you, oh yeah, it's okay if you raise the price to games. No, it's not. And I don't want it. I don't care. I don't care because, like, it's not my job to care, because they'll toad out the poor artists and the poor blah blah blah. And I'm like, it's your job to pay them a living wage for what they're worth and their contribution, and you can't then turn around and make billions in profit. I don't care. I just don't care. I want my games for $50. It's why we
well, and some are, like, if you look at Ratchet and Clank, which I think was 20.
It was 40.
Yeah, it was $40. But what year did it come out?
2015 or 16.
Yeah, I think it was 2016. That'll be in corrections. But that's one where that was an amazing title, and it was like a 20-hour game, and it was definitely what I would say was AAA, and it was $40, and I'm sure, and if you look at the Crash remastered, so Ratchet and Clank was a whole, like, an entirely new game with that IP. Something like Crash, that was a totally remastered from the ground up, but that was another $40 game that people loved. I mean, it's not for me. I that was one of my purchases that I regretted on the Switch, and not because it was on the Switch, just because I have no nostalgia for Crash, and I tried it and I just didn't like it. But my point is that I think that you're going to see these companies continue to experiment with pricing models, and I can't see the industry sustaining, like what you said. Like, I can't imagine them bumping games to $80 and then still on top of that,
especially
penny nickel diming with DLC and microtransactions and all that, loot boxes and blah blah blah.
Especially now, because we're about to enter some really uncertain economic times, and I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, it'll bounce back," and it could. It's not this it's a depression of sorts, but it's not the same kind of depression that we experienced back in the 20s and the 80s. And even the one in the 80s wasn't as bad as it could have been. And I'm probably putting my foot in my mouth right here, right now. But my point is, to your point, like you just said, in a good economy, raising the games suddenly to $80 a pop, that would be a terrible idea. In a bad economy, you're just asking for nobody to buy your console and the games that are coming with it.
Agreed.
Yep.
So there, Sean, that's what we had to say about it this week. Turns out we're both the ultimate consumer.
We are.
Or we're just both cheap.
We are so cheap. Give me all my games for free. And hey, you know what? There's a lot of free games out there, everybody. Epic, I don't care about the whole struggle between the Epic Game Store and Steam. They offer some pretty decent games, 2 a month, for free, to own. There's no subscription. You just got to use their store. That's not a bad compromise. I mean, and there's just so many other places offering stuff for free. Sometimes, it comes with, oh yeah, it's free to play, but then you really got to pay to keep playing or whatever. Or sometimes it's like League of Legends, where it's like, okay, it's free to play, but you've got nothing until you start dropping some money, and then finally you'll be able to build up a roster. But I mean, if money's a huge problem, there are answers to that, and then you can just be frugal and buy when it's on sale, or only buy full price every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. I very, very rarely buy a game at launch, just because I don't want, and if I do, I split it with somebody.
Yeah, so. I every time I do that, I ask myself, why did I do that? Because for the most part, I'm just talking to random people online about it, and that's fun. That's not a bad reason to get a game. I don't want to say it's FOMO exactly, but it's kind of FOMO. Because if you don't get it right away, you won't get it for months, because then you're going to want to wait for a sale. But you also do want to play it right away. It's just, you just don't have this problem with other stuff like movies and books, because, for the most part, you just own a movie. Or at the very least, a movie only costs you $10 to $15, depending on where you live. And you went and saw it with somebody you liked, and it was like an experience you guys shared forever. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good point. I do plan on buying a couple of things launch day this year. The Last of Us for sure, and then Cyberpunk for sure. Everything else, I don't know.
Cyberpunk's going to be bad, though.
You're going to be bad.
I'm already bad.
You're terrible, but you're not the worst.
Who is?
Oh, well, let's find out. Let's do a little something here. Hold on.
Yeah.
Fill time.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thought you were going to do this quicker.
Well, okay. You don't have to fill time anymore. I'm working on a way that you guys can, if he answers, if you can hear each other.
I can hear him.
I know, he can't hear you.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah. I think he's going to be the worst. He told me if I called him between 11 and 12, he would answer.
He said it was prime time.
He said it was prime time. Then he said Gucci.
Hit the snooze. Gucci. Oh, my word.
This is me every time I try to call him. And watch this.
You've reached Lorna. Please leave a message and I'll get back with you.
Guarantee you his voicemail's full.
The mailbox is full. I do not accept any messages at this time. Goodbye.
Oh! Yeah, so he's the worst this week. I can't believe he did that to me. There's no redemption for that man.
No, there's not.
Okay. Well, I said I would give a shout out. I do want to ask you, did Kit listen last week to his shout out?
He didn't get back to me on whether or not he did. He was happy that we gave him one, and he just greedily took it. So let's say something really nasty about him right now. Like, Kit, I can't. Kit, you're great. I'm sorry. Thanks for being a friend.
You're right.
I hope your family is doing well, that beautiful family of yours. And that you guys are doing good in quarantine.
Yeah.
I love you, Kit.
Wish the best to all our friends in quarantine. A couple other friends that I know are listening. Kane, I think, is listening. So thank you, Kane, for listening. And Josh is listening. So hopefully he makes it to this point. I don't want to say last names because I don't know if people get mad, even though we said Sean's last name a million times.
Sean's all in. Sean he wants to be on the podcast. If he wants to be on the podcast, his last name's getting thrown around.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So those are the two friends that I'm pretty sure are listening. Tyler's not, even though we're borrowing his server to host these. He can't be bothered to press the button and listen to this.
He'd probably hate it.
He definitely would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's all we got for this week, folks. You guys go on and find us at neverfreetoplay.com or at patreon.com/neverfreetoplay, where you can throw us a buck if you like what you hear. But if not, that's cool. We take freeloaders for now. You guys all.
What are you going to do with them after?
I haven't decided yet.
All right. So, clock's a ticking, freeloaders.
We don't know when I'm going to cook up.
I'm a freeloader. I don't pay into the Patreon.
You can't. I told you not to do it because you're going to give us $1 of your post-tax money, and then when we go and try to get that money out of Patreon, we're going to have to pay taxes on it again. You're just losing us money if you do that.
Double tax.
You're double taxed. Don't do it. So anyway, you guys all have a fantastic week. We will try, but we are never free to play. Sign off. Yeah. Okay, another great one in the can, man.
I'm really bad about singing music that doesn't have lyrics. I can't think of the melody of I can hear it in my head, but I can't sing it out loud, the melody of the theme song.
The theme song to what? Ours?
Yeah, ours.
Oh, it's like I don't know.
That's
Something
not right in the slightest. You could have been more wrong.
It's pretty close. Oh, I feel good about that. Hey, Rachel.
Jason says hi. I mean, we are, but we're done. The show's over.
Show's over. Pack it in, folks.